Good morning, everyone. Today is shopping day. We're going to be taking you guys to a couple of antique and vintage stores, along with, I think, maybe one regular thrift store. And we decided to rent a car today, so we're visiting the Walt Disney Resort Car Care Center here. It's actually right near Magic Kingdom. They do have a shuttle. However, Jen and I decided to take an Uber over here because it's just a little bit faster. It was about $11 from the Swan and Dolphin, and it was about $80 to rent a car.
You can rent a vehicle through the Walt Disney World website, and your rental will actually show up in your Disney World app, which is really nice. This is the inside of the Car Care Center. It's literally one desk for Alamo, Enterprise, and National car rental services. They had tons of car seats and booster seats that were fully sanitized that you can also rent with your rental, plus a couple of self-checkout kiosks if the rental car center is busy.
Learned a couple things while renting a car. Firstly, it's for 24 hours. We were under the impression that we had to bring it back within the allotted amount of time that the rental car center was open, but that's not correct. So a full day's rental is 24 hours, which is really exciting. So we were able to do that. We're car number 24. They upgraded us. We did have like a compact car. Now we have an SUV, which is even better because I'm a tall lady. And we're gonna buy a bunch of crap today, so I'm sure we're gonna need the extra space as well. And then they said that once we return it, they're actually gonna take us back with some sort of shuttle, which will be really nice. And we can even go to a park and not to our hotel. So, all right, guys, we made it to our first destination. It was 42 minutes away, Jen?
Yes.
Do you remember? Okay. Yeah, it was 42 minutes away from the Car Care Center, which is right at Magic Kingdom entrance. And we've made it to Forever Vintage. And Forever Vintage is offering authentic resort and park used merchandise and props. I am so excited to go in. We're here a little bit before they open. They open at 10 o'clock. So we have 11 minutes before we can go in.
My first impression of Forever Vintage was that it was smaller than I expected. It's in this large warehouse space, but they've like condensed it down to this like small store. My understanding is that maybe there's some other stores on the other side, on each side of it. So anyway, smaller than I had expected. There were a lot of people in there, and so there was a ton of nice framed artwork on the walls. Some of it was vintage, some of it was like brand new from the parks, or maybe they had gotten it from Festival of the Arts or something along those lines. They had a ton of Disney postcards and books. Everything was very well organized there, which I really appreciated. Something that I do want to mention was that we felt that when we were looking at the items, all of the items were researched, and they were found out how much they were worth, and they were marked what they were worth or more. And by what I mean what they were worth is like if someone was to collect them. So for me personally, and I think for Jen, I can speak for her too, is that we felt that things were just a little bit too much for the price point for our personal collections. Not saying that that's for everybody, but that was our first kind of initial impression. But I will say their organization was top notch. I loved how organized everything was. Also, I will say if you are a Mickey Mouse collector, this is definitely the place for you. As you can see, most all of the merchandise on this part, like this half of the store, is Mickey Mouse related. They have a ton of different children's toys. They even had brand new plushes, all the way back to vintage plushes, lots of McDonald's toys. And so there was a good selection of brand new and older toys. There was also a lot of clothing, and all of the clothing was mostly new. They had adult clothing as well as children's and baby clothing, which I just didn't expect that going into a vintage store, so that was kind of surprising. They had this really neat Little Mermaid 2 lithograph that I really liked. So a couple of framed lithographs, which were fun. And then we would go down the center aisles, and these center aisles, they also had a lot of things from cast member parties. So like cast member lanyards. You can even see there's like a bag of Joffrey's coffee there. These happen to be some McDonald's toys. And this is like a vintage keychain with Winnie the Pooh as an apple, which I thought was so adorable. Be perfect for a teacher's gift. And then Winnie as a little daisy, which I thought was super fun. This display was like chock full of Mickey Mouse plushes on the top, but underneath was Disney Plus Day hats. And then they also had grad night hats and lanyards from Castaway Cay. And then they also had like the Castaway Cay 5K medals, as well as some of the other like Run Disney memorabilia. Here is more and more children's clothing. There was so much. Then you have some home goods. Some of these things I do know you can get at like Burlington Coat Factory and also at Marshall's. Specifically that Goofy set I do know is there. And they also had this really fun basket of buttons, which I love vintage buttons. It was so fun to look through. A lot of them were from when movies came out. And this is a nice like Walt Disney World button. There's also a Mr. Toad. I think that was a sing-along maybe, or like some sort of VHS that came out. And then we, of course, have Heimlich, the grass guzzler. But also, is this basket so cute? If I could have bought the basket that's a Mickey Mouse, I totally would have. But yeah, the buttons range anywhere from $3 minimum. I think I saw one that was for up to $10. So quite the range of prices when it came to buttons. They had a lot of really beautiful snow globes and collectibles. All of them were pretty pricey and would be very difficult to take home if you were flying. I love this little St. Patrick's Day Goofy, but I don't know what I would do with him, but I just thought he was so adorable. And they also had some really neat stickers and patches on the end caps as well. This was a really fun vintage Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs collection. They were each individually priced, and someone had already bought one of the dwarves, so there wasn't a complete set. But still kind of fun to look at. I think more than anything, we kind of treated this as we wanted to shop, but we also ended up just looking at a lot of the things, like almost like it was a museum. It was really entertaining. As we continue down the aisles here, there's still more clothing, and there were some DVDs, and also on this side we have some mugs and pint glasses and a whole variety of different types of kitchenware. And against the back wall, they had this entire little corner section that happened to be all different popcorn buckets and sippers. Some were older, some were newer. I do know that they have like the Onward Van popcorn bucket, as well as tons and tons of resort mugs. And then the entire area was just lined with tons of different artwork. This was a piece of artwork of someone who retired from Disney, and everyone had signed wishing them well, which I thought was kind of neat. They even had some Mickey and Goofy hand-drawn drawings on it. It was really interesting. Here on this bench, they had these really neat pillows from Sarasota Springs that featured all the different horses. Those were really super cute. If you're a fan of the Disney horses, those would be really quite a fun thing to have for your collection. Kind of nearing the front of the store again, we came across all these like curio cabinets that had tons of different figurines. This was a really cool like Haunted Mansion display. So many different figurines from Haunted Mansion. And then these were kind of grouped in sections or by themes. I really loved this little doll holding the Mickey balloon off to the right-hand side. Also, that Brave Little Tailor plate was really neat. And then Mickey and Minnie holding balloons. And then this really neat Lumiere on the right-hand side. And they just had so many fun, unique. There's like a little snow babies with M&Ms, which was kind of entertaining. Carousel ponies, Goofy with a football. This place just had so many unique figurines that I've never seen before. It was so fun to just look in this store. This vintage tea set was super adorable with all different of the Fab 5 characters. I fell in love with this Cinderella pattern book. I still think about it to this day. And then lots of snow globes, and lots of decorative plates were kind of throughout the collectibles areas. On the display, right when you walk in, you'll see a lot of new items. So this is a lot of newer Dooney and Burke bags, Petunia pickle bottom bags. They also had newer Disney artwork in this area. They have a Harvey's bag. They had bag inserts, bag clips, you name it. Lots of nice designer items. Kate Spade. This table was full of more of your cheap items like antenna balls, buttons, lots of basic pins. That's what all of those little gray boxes are for. And then like some of the light up straw toppers were there too. Lots of little cheapy gifts you could get in this area. And they had several tables full of different china. This china was so fun because my last name is Cherry, so I love seeing the Mickey fruit china. They also had a really cool china set of the Seven Dwarfs. And then this classic Disney character Christmas china set was to die for. It had Dumbo, Mickey, Tinkerbell, and Dopey. And oh my gosh, if I could have gotten this home, I would have loved to host Christmas dinner with this china.
You guys can see they had a ton of really, really neat stuff, but it was very overpriced. It was very, very overpriced. They had they had this really fun plastic Sully from Monsters University. It was like $35, so I don't know. I ended up getting like two really little things. I fell in love with this Cinderella book that was like her sewing book that had like her pink dress like pattern on it, and I got some really good footage of it, and I actually think I'm gonna try to recreate it because it was $130, which is just a lot. Jen, what did you think of Forever Vintage?
Again, I mean, there was several things that I liked. There was a couple of little 3-4 inch Jim Shores that fit my collection, but they were like $45-$50, which is overpriced. So we're going to a antique mall that has 250 booths that is known for having a lot of Disney, where I think we're going to get way better deals.
Yeah, and they had a lot of they even had a lot of Doonies and a lot of like newer things in there too, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, I think we're going to get better deals at we're going to Lakeland,
the Lakeland Antique Mall.
Yep, Lakeland Antique Mall. That's where we're headed next. About a 45-minute drive, and we've made it to the Lakeland Antique Mall. So this mall has 250 booths, and there's supposed to be lots of Disney memorabilia and things from the parks. They also have a very large pony statue, which we're here for. Let's see what we can find.
Welcome to one of the most epic antique malls in Florida. This place is wild. 250 booths. It is so massive. I would say you'll need at least 3 to 6 hours to get through this place. Oh, these plates are everything. Anyway, this mall is wildly jam-packed full of Disney merchandise. And this is a place where I think if you really spend some time, do some digging, and go through each of the individual booths, you will be able to find something to fit your collection. And they had so many unique items. And you will be able to find bargains here because each of the individual booths are priced per the person who wants to sell whatever's in that booth. So they were like individual people that owned the booths and they like stocked them and those sorts of things. But there were just so many fun, unique items. I love that. Happy Holidays little newspaper. And then they had a lot of the Fantastic Voyage, which I keep flipping through. It was like the newspaper of when the Voyage of the Little Mermaid had just opened at Hollywood Studios, which was really entertaining. We found so many cool antiques here, and it was just more than we would be able to even show on camera in an infinite amount of time. But here's an example of what just one of the booths looks like. And it was anything from new items all the way to old items. They also had things from the park, like this really nice Epcot sign, the Sweet Dreams pillows from the Polynesian. It also featured this really cool cutout of Walt. So kind of along the left-hand side on the back wall, all the way down to the entire back wall of the entire antique mall was tons of memorabilia from the parks themselves. If you know anything about me, you know I'm obsessed with The Little Mermaid, and if I could have afforded this, I would have taken this home, but it was a couple $100, and so I just left it in that booth and walked away with Jen. They even have things from Disney California Adventure and Disneyland here as well. And then again, so much artwork that we were finding in all of the booths. I think behind this Mickey and Minnie, I believe this is an original art piece. It's really pretty. As we continue on towards the back of the store where all of the park merch is, or the park memorabilia is, this whole section was all Christmas. It was massive, and it had a great mixture of new and also vintage. Most of it was vintage, I will say that. They also had a really great section of Nightmare Before Christmas. That Jack figurine on the pumpkin, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. So if you're a Nightmare fan, you would love this area. These booths are just filled with buckets and buckets of fun things. So you really have to do some digging. On the back of this display, they have these really neat cutouts of the dwarves. And I thought they were so beautiful, but they were $75 a piece. And I just could not imagine spending that much, but I thought they were so neat and would look so nice, displayed on maybe a wall, or even leading up a staircase, from the hi-ho scene. But I just could never part with that much money for that. Terrifying Mickey statue with Santa face that I will always regret not buying. Again, so many Christmas decorations in this area, which was really fun to look at. These are the shower curtains from Art of Animation in the Lion King room and also in the Cars room. So here's the one with Lightning McQueen. I thought these were really fun, especially if your family loves that resort. They also had them from other resorts. This one happens to be an All Stars. I think it's All Star Music, I believe. And these were so cool. So these were the hearts that were on the 25th anniversary castle. They were massive and several $100s. And then there's a 25th Walt Disney World sign. That was the carriage and this giant, I'm not sure what you would do with this giant corn, but it is really neat looking. In another booth, they had these characters that happened to be displayed at the Disney store, which is really fun. And I just loved looking at all of this stuff. It was so intriguing. Obviously we would never be able to take it home with us, but it was just very fun to look at. And there's a Small World figurine that I had never seen before. I didn't even know they existed. And they also had a ton of vintage figurines, lots of Dumbo. They had a really neat marionette, Jim Shore. I didn't even know that they made marionette Jim Shores. So this was news to me, but very fun to look at all of those figurines. They even had the fish mirror from Art of Animation Little Mermaid room, and I will forever dream about having this in my home. Unfortunately, I didn't have a way to get it home, so we are continuing on. Even had a Universal Studios prop area. This is all of the different props from the Shrek 3D ride, including some of the artwork and different pieces. They also had all of the 3D glasses that I'll show you guys in just a moment. But here you can see that's the sign, and they even have the holders that the glasses came in that they are also selling. It was just really interesting to kind of see that ride or that attraction kind of deconstructed. And then they also had a massive Halloween Horror Nights section, and it featured a lot of different props from Halloween Horror Nights. This is a prop. These gators are from the Mardi Gras parade at Universal, which I thought was super duper intriguing. And then as we move on, we've made it to the Halloween Horror Nights section. And oh my goodness, did they have some cool props. So if you have a favorite house or a favorite, prop from those events, this is probably the place to go if you're interested in adding it to your home. Here's one of the most vibrant booths. I love that haunted mansion at the bottom with Mickey, Minnie, and Donald. It's so cool. They had lots of Splash Mountain artwork, Little Mermaid, and then lots of Mickey Mouse. And then they had some Lilo and Stitch in this booth too. Lots of good variety. And then they had these ceramic Mickey, Pooh, and look at this Goofy. Oh my gosh, I love him. Okay, this card game, it's like a playing card game, was $250. Do you guys know what these are? I have tried to look it up and I cannot find it. So please comment down below. Are we obsessed with these headphones? Can we get some of these headphones now? Can we write Disney? Like, I want these. Now, this booth was one of my most favorite booths. I thought it was so unique and fun. This is actually a craft booth. And what Melly does is called Melly's Remarket. What she does is she takes artwork and places it in old window panes and then paints those window panes and adds different hardware and woodworking elements to them to make them their own art piece. Here's a Harry Potter one. And then here's a really nice art of Walt Disney that I think is so pretty and clean and nice. And look at that, Disney villains. And then on her other side of her booth, look at that castle in the black and white. Isn't that so neat? And then we've got these like Mickey heads that form like all the cats and it says meow. I just thought it was so cute. Holy Pops Batman. This booth was probably the size of like 4 or 5 booths put together, floor to ceiling, pop figurines. It was impressive. Then we move on to this massive Winnie the Pooh section. If you're a Winnie the Pooh fan, this place is going to make your heart sing. They have a Winnie the Pooh fridge and also kitchen that is from the parks, which was so cool to look at. There's the other side of it. So they had 2 different pieces, the oven and the refrigerator. And then this was all like super duper old Winnie the Pooh memorabilia, including like this original, they had like original play sets all in their original boxes. And then, oh, this Maleficent plate, so random, but so beautiful, hand painted as well. This framed Lilo and Stitch Christmas painting is something I may need to track down. Oh my gosh. Okay, look, so we've got the prince. And then he's got his beast costume. This goes on his head. And then so he turns into the beast. And yes, that is troll doll hair. Wow. $28, guys, this place. I can't. Shelves upon shelves of miniatures. Look at these. These were so neat. I have no idea what they are for or if they're a collection or artist. If you guys know, I would love to know more about these because I thought these were so neat and would look so nice like on a display shelf. We made it to a Precious Moments section. How cool is it to have like a Rapunzel doll? And then there's Cinderella next to her. Oh my gosh, do you guys remember these puppets from Pizza Hut? I totally had that. This Mrs. Potato Head was a display in the Magic Kingdom in Toontown in like 1998. She's $300. Oh my gosh, this figurine was massive and it was so pretty. I don't know a ton of details about this, but my goodness, if you're a Beauty and the Beast person, this was so gorgeous. It's hard to like show how big this is, but it's like there's a lamp beside it and it's bigger than the lamp. I really love handmade things, and these were clearly handmade and hand painted. Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket, and I just thought they were too cute not to show you guys. And then also, this was a really neat Pinocchio item. It's a fishbowl. So you could have your very own Cleo in your Pinocchio fishbowl. I really liked that they had this Pirates of the Caribbean figurine as well. And then they had the nicest figurines on display like at the front of the store, and some of them were worth so much money and were so cool. This in particular is one that I'm talking about. It's the Tower of Terror pre-production prototype that's made out of, it looks like it's made out of plastic or wax. It was so cool. It's like several $1,000s. And then also this fire truck old lunchbox was so neat, and it was in pristine condition.
Okay, we just finished up in the Lakeland Antique Mall.
Yes.
We thought we were going to have a lot of time to like go do other things.
No.
We were in there for 3 hours. No, 3.5.
Yeah, and we rushed through the last two.
We did. Yeah, I think if you're a Winnie the Pooh, Snow White, Mickey Mouse fan, you're going to be in heaven. And it was really cool to see the props, but it's really difficult to afford them, so they're fun to look at. It's like kind of like a museum type of situation in the back. But I got some really cool, fun things, so be sure to stay tuned for the haul video, unless it's up, and I'll link it up and down below for you guys. But you'll have to let us know what you think of Lakeland and what you thought of Forever Vintage. I thought they were super fun to visit. Jen, what did you think of today?
As far as, for me, I'm a very specific collector, and they didn't have a lot of things that I collect for my collections.
Yeah.
Again, it was very fun looking at everything. I didn't buy anything at the first place. I bought vintage art glass at Lakeland Antique Mall, which I was very excited because I got really good deals. Way cheaper than I would have gotten in my local area. Really unique pieces, which I was really excited to find. So went in looking for Disney. Did not buy Disney.
Did not buy Disney.
Because again, I didn't find anything like part of my collection is Marie from the Aristocats. We found two very grungy Marie plushes in that entire antique mall.
And this place is humongous.
Yeah.
Humongous.
So
yeah, and I would say like the big Disney areas, like those are where the most expensive stuff is, but in the smaller booths is where you're going to find the better deals for sure. So if you're actually looking to add to your collection, I would spend more time in the smaller booths kind of hunting and looking around for sure.
Right, and we looked.
Yeah, we did. We looked into everything for the most part. So anyway, guys, well, that is our little thrift shopping video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe down below. Leave a comment. Let us know what your favorite thing was that you saw from this lengthy shopping video. And that's going to do it for us, guys. We'll see you in the next one. TTFN. Bye.